Okay, so this is the new parak. We read it at the very end of last time and translated it, and now we're going to try to understand it. So I was very optimistic when I prepared this. Ken and I had a difficult time.
Yeah.
Then we got something really good at the end, and I was optimistic, and my optimism level has been slowly dropping. Okay, so initially I thought we could finish this one tonight, but we'll see what happens. Okay, maybe it'll all come together. When Ken and I were learning, like we were stuck until the last 5 minutes, and it all came together. So maybe that'll happen again. Okay, so let's read it again slowly. Shir Lama Alos, a song to ascent, which just to get this out of the way, because we're not going to dwell on this. So you have Rashi, who says very strangely, Shir Lama Alos Hapshat, and I don't even know what this bracket is. Is this actually Rashi? Okay, I don't know what the bracket is. Hapshat Kishayo Maschilim La'alos B'Malos Amru Shir Zeh. When they began to go up the steps, then they sang this one. Okay, so then you might ask, well, then why wasn't this the first one? Right. Answer: there's no order, which is it's just weird. Like I understand in the Torah, in Muktam Torah, that there's going to be a conceptual order here, but like here's saying, all right, there are 15 steps, and they sang each one on the steps, and we're going to make the first one second. Like it's just strange. Almost everyone else says it just means shir hamalos. Like Mitzvah says kamo hamalos of halamed b'makom hey hayidia. They're not bothered by it, which is fine. Okay, it's just still is weird. The Rashbam, I saw Dibra Moscow shir hamaalos. Okay, and it says in the footnote kin ksav yad. I don't know what samech pei means. Become a ksav yad shel mikra says there are different versions of the chumash or of the Tehilim that has hamalos, and then Nusach Shalano is lamalos, but then the Mincha Shai, who's the one who's like does all the Girsa stuff, says he doesn't mention any other alternative manuscripts, and he says Zelavado im halamed. This is the only one with the lamed, but he also doesn't explain. Right. So whatever. All right, so we're gonna ignore that. Okay, Esa Einai el Heharim. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Okay, there is another version. All right, we'll look at them apart later. Okay, I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where will my help come from? Ezri me'im Hashem. My help is from Hashem, Osei Shemayim V'Aretz, maker of the heaven and the earth. Al yitin lamot raglacha. He will not allow your foot to falter. Al yanum shomracha. Your guardian will not slumber. And yanum is like a light sleep. Shena is like a deep sleep or a regular sleep. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan. Behold, he neither slumbers nor sleeps. Shomer Yisrael. In fact, the better word for not slumber, where is it? Will not nod off. Like misnamnim is like in Megillah. So he neither nods off nor sleeps. The guardian of Israel. Shomer Yisrael. Hashem Shomracha. Hashem guards you. Or again, remember you could play fast and loose with the tenses. He will guard you. Hashem tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Hashem shades you upon your right hand. Shomrecha. Yeah, Hashem shomrecha. Hashem tzilcha. Shades you al yad yaminecha. Very strange. Yeah. Yomam Hashemesh lo yakeka. By day the sun will not strike you. Lo yak v'yareach b'layla. Can you pass me an island roofing? Thank you. And by night the moon. Hashem yishmar from mikol ra. Hashem will guard you from all harm. Yishmar esnafshecha. He will guard your soul. Hashem yishmar tzeicha v'lecha me'atav v'olam. Hashem will guard your comings and your goings from now until forever. So we said last time that the split seems to be very clear: a question and then an answer with elaboration. Right? We did notice another split. If you want to hear, let me undo the colors for a second here. Another potential pivot, not quite as clear, but what do you see? And I'll give you a hint, which is it's a grammatical-ish one.
Well, I think maybe 7.
Yeah. How so?
It switches to future tense.
That is true. Okay, that works also, right? Shomer, yishmar. Okay, that's true. That's not what we were thinking, but that works also.
Between 2 and 3, there's a switch from like my to you.
Yes, that's one we were thinking of, right? So first and second psukim are in first person. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Whence will my help come? My help is from Hashem, maker of the heavens and the earth. And then David's talking to us. He will not allow your foot to falter. And then all the rest of it is in second person. Yeah. So don't know what to make of that. I personally think this one is better because it is conceptual rather than but the other one is open. Yeah. Okay. So what are the questions here? Yeah.
I have a question, I guess. Is this true?
Okay, that's the big question. Okay, good.
Well,
is this
especially
true?
7 and 8? Like I said, they're future tense. Like, will Hashem really guard you from all harm?
Yeah.
Will he guard? He'll guard your soul, I hope. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this that was the big thing we were bothered by. Is this this is pretty good level of guardianship. And it also seems pretty confident, right, that this is going to happen, right? And that's not my understanding of how the Hashgacha works, right, hold on a second. Constant protection, all harm. Yeah, Yosef?
I feel like we're just asking, what's the case here?
Yeah. I mean, who's this about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, okay. Right, so related, I'm going to put this as a separate question. Yeah. Or I like the way you put it, Ketzad, right? What case scenario situation is this talking about? Okay, and last time we were given the key by the Meiri that these prakim are going to be talking about two possible things. Do you remember what they were?
Am Yisrael and David.
Right, Am Yisrael as a whole in Galus, or David himself when he was fleeing. So that's already a lead that we have here, right? Yeah.
What's the deal with the mountains in the first passage?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what's the deal with the mountains? Yeah, it's like a pshat question. Yeah, or I guess what's pshat and what idea is it expressing?
It's almost kind of like it kind of sounds dumb actually. Like looking at the mountains, does he think his help is going to come from the mountains?
Yeah. Right. Well, what's the Hava Amina? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Not the dumb stuff.
Right.
Whoever wrote this.
Yeah, Yosef?
What's the difference between a lot of these things? A lot of them seem like if he's your guard, then it'll provide the other ones as well.
Okay, right. So what are the specific things mentioned? And they all seem random, or not random. They seem a little randomly varied, right? On the one hand, you have very extreme statements like Hashem will guard you from all harm, he'll guard your soul, and then Hashem will shade your right hand, or the sun will not strike you, it's just a kind of hodgepodge.
This is not a question, but I know it's an observation more, that there's both not sleeping and talking about the day and night.
Yeah.
The sun and the moon. And there's also Hashem
right. Okay, yeah. So let's put it this way. I'm going to put this as a sub question here. There seems to be an emphasis on 24/7, right? Meaning, i.e., not sleeping, day and night, right? So that's just an observation there. Yeah.
Pretty repetitive.
It is pretty repetitive, yeah.
About guarding, especially.
Yeah. I mean, for something so short, it's pretty repetitive.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I suggest. Let's do some mafarshim here. And part of the mafarshim is going to be to get the facts. So what we did is we did the Meiri last time because he served us so well. We did not get as clear ideas from him, but we did get a lot of facts. And then we found and he kind of helped us to formulate our questions. And then Sforno was the one who unlocked it this time. Because the Meiri says, Shir la ma'alos, halamid b'makom hey, kamo ad la shamayim, v'chein asher l'melech nishan al yado, v'hinei nemar al lashon b'nei galos. So here he's saying this is about galos. Now I will mention, as an aside, the Malbim, who I've not read, but I just glanced at him while I was waiting. He says that it's about Husad al hashgachas Hashem hapratim hachofefes al tzadikim. So we do have two approaches that are available to us. He says about the tzaddikim, which might like answer why it's expressed in such guarantee type terms. But then the Meiri is taking the stance it's about galus, and so is the Sforno. V'amar Esa Einai el heharim. Okay, so what does it mean? I lift my eyes to the mountain. So he says, "Kamo al heharim." So he changes it to al, not changes it, but he interprets it as al, and he brings some proofs. U'kamo el heharim lo uchal, or lo achal. All right, I'll come back, I think. Yeah. I didn't look this pasuk up. V'yach es el mitzcho. This one's a good one. He struck this is about Goliath, right? He struck the Philistine not to his forehead, but on his forehead. Right. Okay. V'derech hanilchamim. So the way of people who go to war, shemavakshim ezer mipo. They look for help from here and there. Uma'amidim sofim el heharim, and they set up lookouts on the mountains. Sheyamdu liros me'ayin ha'ozrim bayim, to see where these help people are going to come from. Okay. Amar David Herara, derech Herara, and he says by way of insight, pointing out, Im Esa Einai el heharim liros me'ayin yavo ozri. If I lift up my eyes upon the mountains to see where my help comes from, ani mevin shlo yo ileni ezer shum adam l'rov hanilchamim bi. I understand that no one is going to help me due to the multitude of people who are going to war with me. And with based on their great strength and power. So he's saying this mashal here is like, we are being threatened. So we're asking like the people who are able to see the farthest, can you see anyone coming to help us? And they're saying no, right? Like it's a desperation type thing.
He's saying the harem is telling you like, even if you look like as hard as anyone could possibly look, you wouldn't see that your help is coming from people.
Right, exactly, because presumably no one is coming to help you. Yeah, and in Galus, this makes sense, right? Is that people tend to not come to our aid, at least historically speaking. We certainly can't rely on that. And then the Radak, I think, had a slightly different thing. You could just we don't need to go from the beginning. Just Esa. Kamo hamatabe ezer merachok she'ola al heharim menose enecha elach ve'elach liros im yavo lo ozrim. Wait, maybe it wasn't Radak. No, that says the same thing. Maybe someone said something else. Hold on. Mitsudas, maybe. Where is Mitsudas? El Harim, Al Harim, Mezi Malcolm. No, he doesn't say much. Here. Derech Matabi Al Ozrim Lalos Al Harim Venose Inav Limerachok Liros Me'ayin Yavo. No, okay. I don't know who I read that. I saw someone else say something different. It was not the Sforno. Sforno had a completely different. Actually, all right. We'll do Sforno now. Actually. Yeah, will we? No, not yet. Let's do Meiri first. Okay, stick with the original plan. All right, so Meiri says, Ezri, b'derech nevuah. So he's saying this by way of nevuah, about Galus, I guess. O al derech tikva, or by way of hope. Which is weird, because if this is about the Bnei Galus, then you would think that it is nevuah, like all these Nevi'im did talk about being saved by Hashem, okay, but whatever. In li sorech le'ezras adam, im le'ezras Hashem levado. I don't have any need for the help of man, but only the help of Hashem alone. Shehu oseh ha'alyonim v'ha'aretz hashfela. He made the upper things and the lower things. Okay, we've seen this in Tehilim before, that God is the one who controls who created the universe. He can help even when it looks like there's no one to help. Okay, al kamo lo. Al means low. Okay, so he just brings grammatical proofs that all can mean low. Skip the grammar for tonight. Did I skip? Should we go? Wait, where does it go? Oh, sorry. Yeah. What happened? Hold on. Did I skip a bunch of stuff? Did I read the wrong person? Oh, I read the wrong person. Oh. I was reading the Ibn Ezra. Sorry. Yeah, no, Meiri. We read this already. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So God is great in acting, and He changes everything according to His will. And He said, as if He is speaking to each member of the galus. So He's explaining why He switches to second person. Okay. Don't give up hope. He will not allow your foot to falter. Meaning He will not leave you. He won't leave you to falter altogether. And He will not your guardian will not off. He will not remove his hashgacha from you. Okay, so faltering means entirely faltering, and not removing the hashgacha, not nodding off is not removing the hashgacha entirely. Okay, lo yanuv lo yishan shema Yisrael. V'hatznuma hi shena kala. Tznuma is a light sleep. V'hashena shena gemura. Shena is complete sleep. U perish v'lo yanuv shlo yamod rega shlo yashgiach alecha. Not nodding off means that there is no moment when he is not protecting you, right, or watching over you. Right, so that's what happens when you're nodding off. You miss moments, right? But God does not nod off. So it is a constant watchfulness. Right. To give you a little sustenance for your work, for your service. And all the more so he does not sleep. That is a mashal for complete removal of hashgacha.
Right.
Okay. Vitzilcha al yad yaminecha, rotelamar lahagin ba'adacha. It means to shield you. Lahaviacha b'tzilo lachasos tachas kanafav, to bring you under the shade of his protection. V'derech mashal himshichacha davarav al amro tzilacha v'amar. So he continues this mashal saying, Yom Hashem shelo yikecha v'yirech b'layla. He's going to say something that all the Mefarshim say, which apparently was the thing they believed. Okay, mashal. Shelo yazikehu shum davar. Nothing will harm you. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Oh yeah, he'll say it soon. Nothing will harm you. Orem is let's say something hagalus, or it means when you go out of the galus, you will not be harmed. Shiasech ba'adam ba'ananei kavod. You're going to be shielded by the ananei kavod, which I did not know we were getting back. Okay. Shelo yazikim chum hashemesh bayom b'kor hayirech b'layla. That the sun, the heat of the sun by day and the cold of the night, the moon by night will not strike you. Now here's the fact that they all mention. It is known that the sun dries up the moisture in a person, and the moon increases the moisture. And the heat and the cold are the cause of illnesses. So that was just a belief. They thought that, like, the fluctuations of the temperatures make you sick.
Right.
Okay.
It does kind of make sense because it gets more humid at night.
Right, but I think this is not talking about external humidity. I think he's talking about the humors of the body. Yeah. He's going to throw your internal balance out of whack. Okay. And he promises the guarding of the body and the guarding of the soul, saying, Hashem yishmarcha mikol ra yishmar nafshecha v'yishmar tzedekah v'lecha me'etav olam. And I accidentally forgot to copy the last page, but in the packet. But the Meiri actually explains this in his Chibur HaTshuva, and he says a similar thing here. He just says, in fact, he says a better thing here. He says, it means he's going to guard you from natural or chance occurrences. So Teisecha means going out of Galus, and Bo'echa is coming into Eretz Yisrael, which is why it's out of order, right? Because it should be your comings and goings, not your goings and comings.
Right.
Okay, so before we do the Sforno, like, what are we getting out of this Meiri? Let's go back to our parak here. Yeah. So what does he solve? What does he not solve? I mean, he answered the mountains thing, right? That you're looking for, you're basically like looking, like you've apparently exhausted all of the possibilities of help locally.
Right.
So you're like desperately looking from the mountaintops, any other armies coming in to help us, that's the mashal. And there are none. Yeah.
Right. It's also saying like he'll protect you from like natural harm.
Right. Yeah. So the natural harm. So it sounds like there's a couple of stages. There's a general description of how, well, first of all, there's the reason, there's where your help is coming from, which is Hashem, who makes everything and can do whatever he wants. Then there's the fact that the protection is constant. There's no moment where Hashem does not leave off his hashgacha, and he certainly doesn't withdraw it entirely. Then he gives particulars about like natural things that he protects you from. Meiri didn't really explain the soul thing. In fact, did he even comment on something?
On the last 2% at all?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't. He only really started with Yetzia and Bia. He didn't really talk about the soul. And and the last part is really the most troubling thing, right? That sounds like protect you from all harm,
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I have like kind of a theory about this parak. That maybe what it's saying is like, it's talking to the people while they're in Galus.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, it might seem like things, I guess this is sort of like how this would sound to me if I was in Galus, like I am. It might like seem like things are bad because we don't have like the way that things should ideally be, but like Hashem is still like allowing us to live lives in the natural world and like sustaining the natural world and maintaining that at all times. And he never like ceases to do that. And that's like that's like the true goodness that he like is giving us, is that maintained existence.
Yeah.
And in the future, I think that's maybe what the last second we were talking about.
Yeah.
That in the future he like has promised that he'll bring about Geula.
Right.
And so he will. That is like it's like a guaranteed thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're being led to a negative fate by Hashem. It's like, things might seem bad to you now, but there is like a Geula coming in the end.
Okay, so that's also the main core idea that we hit upon, which is really kind of contained in the way Ken explained it was that the first pasuk is the question, second pasuk is the answer, and then wait, I took notes on this. Hold on. 3 through 7 is examples of how Hashem protects us in Galus, and then the last one is the summary of what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the way we explained it was basically like this: is you are looking for help, and the way the expectations you have for help that people are going to be coming, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But the reason why is because the way that you're being protected is different than the way that people are protected, like in wartime. Hashem is, first of all, Hashem, has got it, right? He is watching over Israel, he's the maker of heaven and the earth. But it's going to look like on the surface, no one is coming and you've been abandoned. But what's actually going on is there are types of protection for the nation that are there and are constant. Right. And if you are sensitive to that, you'll realize that is the level of protection that you're under right now. And that is going to culminate with the promised nevuah that he will take us out, So like the example that I was giving that came to my mind is like, I think they call it like sleep training when you have like a baby and like the parents will allow it to cry itself to sleep. So from the baby's perspective, parents have abandoned me, yeah. But really the parents are like usually nervously, eagerly like monitoring, and if anything did go wrong, the parents would intervene. But from the kid's perspective, the kid is expecting a certain manifestation of care, which is the parent being there, like visibly caring for them. Right. And that's not really the case in Galus, And so the main message is don't mistake the fact that no one is coming for you to help you. Don't mistake that as indicating that God has abandoned the nation. But really, he is there and protecting us, and we'll bring out the protection at the end. So let's look at the Sforno because he really develops this a little bit more particularly. Okay, so Sforno says, where are we? Okay, so he also states, he does what the Meiri does, and he states the theme. Bazeh hamizmor hispalal hamashor al ma'alos b'shaveh shelo yosif od lahaglosam. Sforno has this theory that the ma'alos are like levels of something, of perfection. It says Rabbeinu l'darko mefarsh ma'alos lashon ma'ala, or like virtues. I don't exactly know what that is. Actually, you know what? I still have the packet from last time. Mm-hmm. Let me just see what the Sforno says on the first one. On the first one, Sforno said, Ko shir hamalos hem shirim shiyomu b'kibbutz galios uvimos Mashiach. So, I can put this on the screen. Hold on. Let me put this on the screen because I have it on the computer too. Yeah, and I don't know what Sforno's approach to Tehilim is in general, but maybe hopefully we won't need it. Okay, so he says, Sforno, Hine kol shirei hama'alos hem shirim shiomru b'kibbutz galios uvimos Mashiach hasaridim asher Hashem koreh, right? The saridim that Hashem calls, the remnants. Yihu nivdalim zeh mizeh b'mala. They differ from one another in level. V'yashir kol echad mehem lahalal ulhodos l'Hashem. Hashem. Each one of them will sing and give thanks to Hashem on his level, presumably. He's palo al-atmo al-zulaso, to daven for himself and others. Ish kafi ma'alaso umadragaso, each person according to his level. Now, I don't know what we're supposed to make of that as the unit, but he is saying that these are being davened by different people on different levels. Now, the weird thing is ours is about kibbutz galios, so like that seems to be about everybody, but I don't know. Let's see. He says, Shir lamalas Esa Einai al harim. So hine, this is a creative interpretation. Hine begalus hayisi nose einai el malche ha'umos. During my galus, I raised my eyes to the non-Jewish kings, and then the footnote says, "Derech Rabbeinu b'chol makom levar harim lashon malchus b'shilton." He always uses harim. I'm sure not always, but like harim when they're being used metaphorically as mashalim for kingship and rulership.
Got a good amount of sources.
Yeah. Be'is tzara, at a time of tzara, lasur me'ayin yavo ezri lehimaled, to see from where is my help going to come to leave. So in other words, this seems to be not looking for like armies to help you, but looking for political alliances to like help you, and again, Israel, we have been in this situation lots of times, like looking to the United States, looking to other people to help us. Okay, fine.
Pretty similar.
Yeah. And
I like the way you're reading it, though. It's creative.
Yeah, it is. And there is going to be a tremendous overlap between him and the Meiri. It's just he gives more specifics. Behine Ezri haya me'im Hashem bilvad. My help is from Hashem alone. Osei shemayim va'aretz, maker of the heavens and the earth. Va'azreini gam neged ha'ma'arachas hu barachmav. And he also helps us against the laws of nature in his mercy. So that's the shemayim va'aretz. God can override the natural state. Okay. Okay. So in other words, we've seen two levels so far. One is God will help us even though the political tide is not on our side. God will help us even if nature is not on our side. Al yitin lamod raglecha lo yosif lahaglosech. He will not continue to exile you. So this is faltering here means that there's not going to be another exile after this one. Okay, which is good news. Just skip it. Other side. Even a light sleep, he will not remove his eyes from you. That's like the Radah, the Meiri. So I don't know exactly what he means here. He's saying God will not hide his face from us, from himself. I don't know if it's from his perspective. Yeah, from his side, from his perspective of al mitzidenu, ba'avanenu. Oh, I get it. In other words, God is not vindictive. He's not withdrawing his hashgacha because he doesn't want us, but because of our own sins. That's so it's saying he is constantly watching, but we are, like getting into trouble or whatever. Right. What were you gonna say?
Well, it does kind of sound like he would remove his hashgacha from us. According to this, if we sin. Yes, yeah. This is a little bit more blameworthy than the other one, but he's saying that God is not really the one initiating it. Right. Yeah. Hashem shomerecha miyad Gog uMagog. So that's at the time of Mashiach, the war that's going to go on. Hashem tzilcha. He sounds like he's learning a future tense. Then Hashem tzilcha mikol mazik, from every harm. Why did I think this helped? Maybe I'm thinking of something at the end. Al yadi minecha al yadecha yaseh nekama be'edom. Okay, by your hand he will wage war against Edom, okay, which is the Galus we're in. Kamrov and Nasati Nikmasi Edom Biad Ami Israel. Okay, we're gonna go to war with Edom. I didn't know that. Al Yadi Minacha Kihu Chayalim Yigbar. Okay, so the soldiers will overpower. Al Ki Ad Ki Yomam Shemesh Leikecha V'Lo Yuchlu Lacha Afilu Mine HaHishtanus Mitzad Hashmaimim. So the changes in the heavens will not affect you. Who? Okay, I gotta remember why.
Can I ask a quick question about 5?
5.
Yeah, so his comments on 5 with the Edom stuff.
Yeah.
Is it possible for this to be pshat? It sounds like he's learning like a funny grammatical twist on the sentence.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. I mean, what it sounds like he's getting it from is alluding to the words of another Navi. Nosati nigmasi be'edom biyad ami Yisrael. And he's saying, I will protect your right hand, and your presumably right hand, even though it doesn't say right hand, is the one that's going to go to war with Edom at the time of Mashiach. If I had to guess, I'd guess that he's getting it from linguistic allusions, which would mean, by the way, that he has to hold that this Shir Malos was written after Yechezkel, which is not true if we assume it's from David. But yeah, it definitely seems to be a stretch, So I don't know what to. I don't know where he's getting it from other than that. Yeah, it looks like the footnote also says that footnote 8. Al yad yaminecha. Let's see. It says Al pi kohels yud yud Hashem yagbir as yamincha kadesh anakima yiti al yidei Yisrael, that God will cause your right hand to be strengthened in order that vengeance shall come about through Israel. Upirish al yad hu shiyase al yad yaminecha. Okay, I don't know what he's getting at here. Yeah, I don't know tomorrow. I don't have more specific info. Okay, let's see if this is the. I thought the Sforno helped us, but so far he's not. Oh, okay, it helped us at the end. Hashem yishmar mikol ra. Okay, so this he radically changes now. Mi yetzer lev ha'adam ra. Not from all harm, from all evil that your yetzer might do. Ka'amra, as it says, umal Hashem elokecha es levavcha. Hashem will circumcise your heart. B'ofen sheyishmor es nafshecha, in a way that will protect your nefesh hasichlis, your rational soul, mihikashal b'chet, to protect it from stumbling in sin. Al derech raglei chasidav yishmor. So this Hashem will circumcise your heart, I think, is a prophecy about the Yemos Mashiach. So, and you've got all these things about either, according to the Rambam, there's going to be some actual change in the Yetzer Hara. According to the Rambam, it seems like once you have the Torah society functioning properly, then people will not be inclined to make the same bad decisions again. V'hu Hashem yishmor teischa v'mitzvas hamashiach lochiach legoyim atzumim ad rachok. To rebuke the nations that are powerful until at a distance. Uboecha b'shuvcha elav b'shalom, when you return to him in peace. Okay, yeah. So I guess it was really just that last part that this one helped with, and in the very beginning with the kings. Okay, so let's look back and try to put this together in a better sense now. So, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so we asked, like, is this true, right? Is this protection really happening? So I think, like, just to elaborate on what I was saying before with the Meiri, he qualifies everything, right? So it looks like God will not let your foot falter will not let your foot falter at all, and Hashem will guard you. And your guardian will not sleep. So it sounds like a really good guardianship. But the Meiri changes it. He won't let you entirely falter. He will not entirely remove his hashgacha. So what the vibe I'm getting here is like the phenomenon that everyone talks about the Jews, how like it is a miracle that the Jews have remained alive per se, but still keeping their Torah and their mitzvos and their culture and their nationhood in Galus. Like, it's not like we have split apart and have kept cultures that are completely different. We keep the same calendar. We have the same Sifrei Torah. We keep the same like halachic system. So I in line with the idea we're saying here is like one of the mistakes people make that causes them to give up hope is having a wrong standard of what to expect. If you're expecting like anei kavod and like miraculous protection and no deaths and no harm, that's not how God's protecting us right now. The way that God's protecting us is a very, very low level of protection, but it's a protection that he's constantly watching. This is all by design and by plan, and he is not letting us be destroyed. And if you take that sforno at the end, and even though the Meiri didn't say this, then like I'm kind of combining them. I'm taking the sforno's shot of guarding you from all ra and guarding your soul. But unlike Sforno, who's saying that that's at the time of Mashiach, I'm taking that to be about the present. Although it does say the future though, Yishmor, right? That's your observation. So maybe we should keep that in the future then. Yeah. So backtrack for 1 second. So there are levels of protection, and then again certain natural things, like there are people who get wiped out because their entire environment changes, or like there's droughts and famines and like the entire people die. That has not happened to the Jews, So there is this level of hashgacha, and then it ends on a hopeful note, which is that in the future, God will completely bring us back. But he needed to establish that. No, there's a threefold argument. First, he has to remove the false premise that there's no hell coming and explain why that is. Then he has to establish the next premise that Hashem can do everything and is always watching, but everything you're witnessing now is part of the hashgacha that actually is protecting you. And then that hashgacha will come to full fruition at the end, at the time of Mashiach, when he takes us in. Yeah. So what's the takeaway here? So again, I think the takeaway that we have to do is on two levels, like we did last time, maybe. One level as people who are in galus, and I think that's a pretty direct, application, right? That you cannot expect these like grand. I mean, I know we had the state of Israel, which involved several steps of like pretty miraculous stuff, but like that's an anomaly. You can't expect Holocaust and crusades,
right?
Not like Magin Abraham. Yeah, Tamar.
I have a question on this reading of the parak.
Mm-hmm.
My question is that if you talk about the sort of minimalist hashgacha that we have now, and also the hashgacha that's coming in the times of Yemos Mashiach, that sounds to me like two separate ideas. I'm not seeing like one unified idea there. So I guess my question is, what's the idea?
So the way I'm unifying it is that that you're not going to be able. So the real thing that the Nevi'im prophesied about is the Mashiach himself, or the Mashiach, Yemos Mashiach. That's 7 and 8, but that's going to fall on deaf ears if people think that God abandoned them. So what needs to be established is a conviction. No one's going to believe that the Mashiach is going to come if you believe God has abandoned us. But what you need to do is you need to change the way we're viewing the state that we're in right now and recognize that the Hashgacha is with us now. And then you can have hope and bitachon for the future redemption, which is in 7 and 8.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. That's why I'm calling it an argument. I think this whole thing is structured as an argument. Another, I'm going to go on a side rant. I've gone on this rant in private, but I'm going to go on in public now. People, I've heard this notion among Jews, and I hear it in the realm of halacha and hashkafa. Okay, which is this notion. People say this notion that like, if God allows certain beliefs and practices to persist, then that must mean that He put His stamp of approval on them. Okay, like for example, people say this about like certain movements in Judaism. I won't name names, but movements that are approved of by the by many Jews, or let's say like the proliferation of Kabbalah and Zohar and all this other stuff. And they say, well, like, clearly the fact that the Jewish people have embraced it and that it's been around for hundreds of years means that God approves of it, And what I want to tell these people is, like, maybe I did go on this rant in a Shir. I don't know. I can't remember. I went on this rant recently. Either way, what I want to tell these people is, have you ever read Tanakh? Like, have you seen how God let 10 tribes, get involved in Avodah Zarah and then be exiled and lost, and the 2 remaining tribes get involved in Avodah Zarah, and He sent them to Nevi'im. It's not like God was doing nothing, but like Hashem allows things to go very, 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 very wrong, and you therefore like to assume that, oh well, this is happening and it's been happening for so long, this must be a sign of divine approval. That's a misreading of the Hashgacha. Like I don't think we have the right to say that, and that's like the emphasis that the Meiri and the Sforno are putting on here about like the Hester Panim thing. Like, we are in a state of Hester Panim right now, and it would be wrong to say that God abandoned us, but that's talking about like you look at the way the Meiri talked about it. He used a phrase here of to give you a little bit of sustenance for your avoda. What it reminds me of is a shir I gave earlier in the year about Yaakov Avinu thanking Hashem, or asking Hashem, saying, "V'nasata li lechem lechol ubeged lilbosh." You gave me bread to eat and a garment to be clothed. And then the Rambam and the Shadal, I think, and Rav Hirsch said, like, you see that what was Yaakov's standard about how God is with him? He had clothes and food. Not even a home, and like he was being persecuted and stuff. So like people, the mistake people make is they set up their own standards of how they think God does or should protect us. And then when things don't go in line with those standards, then they freak out and think that God either has abandoned them or is against them. Mm-hmm. And what this is saying is, no. There is a hashgacha, but it is it's almost like, I'm going to borrow a mashal, even though I'm not using it in the same way, I don't think, like the Eliyahu Navi, that God is not in the storm and God's not in the tornado. He's in the small, still voice, like the backdrop hashgacha, but it is a miraculous thing. Like, there's that I think everyone at some point has heard the Mark Twain quote, the famous Mark Twain quote about the Jews.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. We'll read it again because it's appropriate here, right? I'm sure I could find it if I just type in Mark Twain Jews. Right. That is not the level of font that I was expecting. I think it's a short thing. This is a whole essay. There must be some Jewish site that has like just the part that, I think this is a Jewish site that has just the part that we want.
Add the word mortal.
Mortal? Okay. Concerning the Jews. Okay, this is fine. This part's good. He has made a marvelous fight in this world in all the ages and has done it with his hands tied behind him. He could be vain of himself and be excused for it. The Egyptian, the Babylonian, and the Persian rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greek and Roman followed and made a vast noise, and they are gone. Other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now or have vanished. The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakening of his parts, no slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert and aggressive mind. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? That really does touch upon all of the things that I was saying here, like even including the no dueling of his alert and aggressive mind, and the fact that we've kept that. There's another, so this is the phenomenon I'm talking about here, is like Mark Twain is seeing the actual hashgacha on the Jews, not like this grand expectations. Yeah.
I think the people who say that if the thing persists in the world and it shows that Hashem, regarding the Jews, then it shows that Hashem like approves of it.
Yeah.
I think they are also getting, it's sort of like the free will shir that we did a while ago from that pamphlet.
Yeah.
They're getting into problems with free will and reward and punishment.
They're definitely stepping into that stuff. Yeah, definitely. There's another great John Adams quotation that is, see if you could find it really quickly, and if not, then I'll have to share it later. If it's this, if it's not this, then I'll, this is the one. I will insist, this is John Adams, I don't know where he wrote this, letter. I will insist the Hebrews have contributed more to civilized men than any other nation. If I was an atheist and believed in blind eternal fate, I should still believe that fate had ordained the Jews to be the most essential instrument for civilizing nations. They are the most glorious nation that ever inhabited this earth. The Romans and their empire were but a bubble in comparison to the Jews. They have given religion to 3/4 of the globe and have influenced the affairs of mankind more and more happily than any other nation, ancient or modern. So it's a different point, because that's not talking about survival. That's really more of the positive thing. But it's also just recognizing the line I was thinking of is, if I was an atheist and believed in blind eternal fate, I should still believe that fate had ordained for something about the Jews. And again, if you're an atheist and you look at the Jewish people, you do have to explain how did the Jews survive, with this intact. Yeah. So I think the takeaway is in terms of, we were doing the takeaway in terms of the B'nai Galus, but I think the takeaway in terms of your Tefilah is, I think this is an important thing when you are davening, to realize that your expectations might be way, 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 way higher in terms of how God responds than the actual hashgacha, and you really have to moderate your expectations, both because we don't deserve it and because we don't know how the hashgacha works, and I think that people get into a lot of dilemmas in terms of their relationship with God because they impose these standards that did not come from learning and are just mostly come from ego and imagination, and they impose that on God, and then they judge God when he as falling short when he doesn't do what they want. Yeah.
Like the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The baby doesn't know what's going on. Right. Yeah. And you can't blame the baby for being in pain, and we're not diminishing our pain, but saying that the baby, if the world conducted itself the way that babies thought it should go, then all babies would get messed up. Yeah.
Problem is we're not babies. We do have intellect.
Right. But we are babies in comparison to Yedias Hashem. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, that did come together. All right, so so I assume you and Tamar will both not be able to be here on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So probably what we'll do is I haven't even looked at the next parak yet. We might start it and then see where we go, and then All right. Thanks for coming. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye.